Remember when you used to draw animals as a kid using whatever colored crayons you had on hand? You probably created ridiculous things like purple polar bears, bright yellow parrots, white lions, and pink grasshoppers. But what if I told you all those things aren't as made up as you might think? The animal kingdom is far more colorful than you know. And coming up are some of the world's rarest creatures that definitely won the genetic lottery. Melanistic Fox. When you think of the world's most beautiful wild animals, foxes probably don't spring to mind. But have you ever seen one like this before? This is the incredibly rare and majestic cross fox, which was once abundant in America until they were largely killed off in the late 19th century, thanks to high demand for their unique fur. Cross foxes are almost identical to red foxes, but they have a larger, bushier tail with more wool under their feet. The cross fox was given its name thanks to the long, dark stripe running down its back, intersecting another stripe to form a cross over the shoulders. Their incredibly unique coat is the result of a partially melanistic variant. Melanistic is basically the opposite of albinism, meaning that an abundance of dark-colored pigment is produced under the skin. Although melanistic foxes make up about 30% of the Canadian fox population, they're still a very rare sight to see. But there's an even more elusive kind, the silver fox. These mysterious foxes are a fully melanistic version of the cross fox created through years of breeding. As you can see, they have a glossy black undercoat with a top coat that looks like they've been dusted with silver, as well as some white coloring on the tip of their tails. One thing's for sure, you'd be incredibly lucky to see one of these foxes raiding your bins. King cheetah. Notice anything out of the ordinary about this cheetah? Take a closer look at that magnificent coat when compared with its run-of-the-mill counterpart, and you'll see what makes the so-called king cheetah so well sought after. This stunning big cat is a variety of the regular cheetah with a rare mutation that produces cream-colored fur with large, blotchy spots and 3 distinctive, dark, wide stripes extending from the neck down to the tail. At first, it was thought to be a different species altogether, before it was discovered that the fur pattern was actually caused by a recessive gene that promotes the overproduction of melanin in the skin. Back in 1926, Major A. Cooper shot a king cheetah and noticed how the fur was thicker and darker than normal, so he named it after himself. Imagine, you kill an animal and then you name it after yourself. That's some nerve. Thankfully, an English zoologist wasn't impressed and renamed the animal Acinonyx rex. Rex translates as king in Latin, and the king cheetah was born. This elusive big cat is actually one of the rarest animals in the world. There are only about 30 or 50 in the entire world. As few as 10 of those are thought to exist in the wild, while the others are in protected parks and wildlife reservations. You know, when the king cheetahs heard how rare they were, they started to get depressed. Now they can be found moping around rather than standing proud and regal. But you can help them get their mojo back for the low cost of hitting those like and subscribe buttons. Go on, show them you care. Oh, and don't forget about that little bell icon so you don't miss out on more amazing content. Pink katydid. This pretty pink insect is a katydid, which are related to grasshoppers and crickets and mostly found in the tropics like the Amazon rainforest. Usually, katydids are green, but these awesome pink variants were first described back in 1874. Since then, there has been an intense discussion over the origins of their dazzling hue. At the turn of the 20th century, Harvard entomologist Hubbard Scudder suggested that the pink coloring could be seasonal, meaning the normally green insect would change colors with the autumn leaves as the temperature drops. But this theory was debunked when myrmecologist William Morton Wheeler found bright pink katydid nymphs in the prairies of Wisconsin and Illinois during the summer season of July 1907. Finally, the truth was revealed. These pimped-out bugs suffer from a genetic mutation controlled by recessive genes which is known as erythrism. This causes an absence of normal green pigment and/or excessive production of a red or pink pigment in the skin. Pink katydids are pretty hard to come by in the wild, which can partly be explained by the fact that hot pink is probably not the best camouflage. Albino snake. Albinism, a condition where melanin pigment, which controls skin, hair, and eye color, is not produced, doesn't just affect us humans. Whether you're afraid of snakes or not, there's no denying that these albino serpents are seriously captivating. But you're unlikely to ever see one for yourself, because they're some of the rarest creatures in the world. The reason why they're so few and far between is actually pretty sad. In the wild, most snakes rely on camouflage, so they don't become another animal's dinner. But an albino snake, with its pearly white skin, will stand out in its native habitat and will likely not last long enough to reproduce. What's more, albinism often results in poor eyesight, which puts them at a disadvantage when hunting for food or avoiding danger. Albino animals are also more vulnerable to poachers looking to capitalize on the booming demand for exotic pets derived from rare creatures. Basically, it's a hard life being this pretty.